But that's the thing that kind of throws me off. It's the puberty stage, right? Whenever the voice drops, the voice changes or whatnot.
Has my
Sometimes it
voice dropped?
stops.
I feel like I sound like a female. No offense to
No.
females.
And ironically enough, whenever I had puberty, my voice didn't change much either. It didn't change much at
No, no,
all.
no. My voice has changed. Like it's got a like I used to sound like a fork scraping on a plate. It's
My
bad.
voice was just a bit pitched up because I have a 2016, 2015 clip of me talking to my friends. And
Bro,
yeah.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't listen to it. It makes me itch.
But yeah.
All
Yeah, we could
right.
pick. I got a recording. We can pick up conversation now. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. You ready? You on your lowest point of life?
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, lack of experience. It was the short answer why I'm not really religious or practice
Mm-hmm.
Christianity anymore. Lack of experience. Whenever people tell me their testimonies, I notice a pattern where, yeah, they hit the lowest point in life, whether they be influenced by drugs or alcohol, and they turn it around by having that one-to-one experience with Jesus or God, whichever one it may be, you know. And that is the main push on why they believe the things they believe. And when it comes to that, I'm like, I can't really say much about it because I haven't had that experience personally, and nor am I going to beg for it or hold my hand out for it, right? If I made a good enough if I made good enough choices where I don't need those experiences or the experiences never happened to begin with as a result of it, there's really no there's really no need for me to just lie about it or anything. I'd rather just be honest about it than just lie. Because I could just walk up into a church and just lie about my experiences and whatnot and how that led me to God. But that'd be intellectually dishonest of me. So I just choose not to do it. I don't do it.
And as a Christian, that'd also be a sin. So regardless, it's a loss.
Of course.
Um, the all right. What's a statement I can pull out of that? Give me a second. Let me just register. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said, all right, 2:30 in the morning.
Don't blame you.
All right, you see me sick to think about that. All right, so you see how you always said like it was a one-on-one with God, like they maybe even saw Christ with their own eyes.
That's what they tell me, yeah, in the testimonies.
Yeah, yeah. So testimonies I've heard of that made me believe. You've probably heard that God works in mysterious ways, right?
A lot.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty known. But the thing is with that is that the testimonies I've heard, like I would say 2 years ago, I used to not be like Christian. I used to just have the name. Realistically, I used to go to church for an hour, sit there just as be sat there
Hmm.
because I knew I had to go. I didn't know what the intention was. I barely even knew what the bread meant. Like that's the point I was at. I was pretty much atheist, not gonna lie. If I'll be completely honest. But the thing that woke me up was actual testimonies of people not having like I honestly don't believe having a one-on-one with Christ because I don't see myself seeing that. You know what I mean? Like I can't put myself in that perspective.
Until it happens.
I can't wrap my head around it, obviously, 100%. The thing is, the testimonies I've heard is that God hasn't directly walked up to them, said, do this, do that. They've given them signs. He or they or it has given them signs of what to do and how to do it. But they don't, not direct words, actions, people, like someone will come into their life, improve their life and leave. It's not just the one-on-ones with Christ or it's the actions that God, because
That does
obviously
count, though.
in my
Does it?
belief,
Do you think that counts?
God's created everything. But yes, because from the same as you, the testimonies they've come from the lowest of low, like from the worst of the worst. Like you look at this person and think, what is that? Not even what are they doing? Like what is that? They look so much. They improve physically, mentally. They're a completely different person. They thrive for better. When before the only thing they thrived for was just 10 minutes of enjoyment. They didn't care how they did it or when they did it.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So that's a way I've seen like wow, it's not just I've obviously heard of one-on-ones, but as I said, I can't really wrap my head around that because it hasn't happened to me personally. But the thing I can wrap around my head personally is the working in different ways. Because when I pray, I'm obviously not talking to someone, so I'm not receiving something back and forth. You know what I mean? Like it's not a
Of course,
conversation
yeah,
like
yeah.
we're having right now. I'm praying, but the way I find it is that me asking my faith in him, already knowing, I just tell him, Father, I've sinned. like all prayers are personal, but
Of course,
it's
yeah.
just like I ask for what's the word? The forgiveness of sins. What's that called? Repentance.
Yeah.
So I repent, and well, what I personally do, I just talk about my day. Tell him what's going on. He probably already knows, but why not remind him on the little details, like the paper straws and how much I hate them from Macca's. Um, yeah, it's just stuff like that. And
Hmm.
then from me being a person that was pretty much an atheist that just went to church to a person who's actually devoted to the words that are in the Bible and the experiences that I've heard of, the faith that I have, it's just I don't know how to like it's not really explainable, but it's just to the point where I've seen things that God's done. Like he does it subtly, but you don't realize till it's happened.
So here's the thing that it doesn't sit right with me, right? Because
Hmm.
it's a bit ironic, isn't it? Ironic to you, or to just to be honest, isn't it ironic that yeah, like you said, God works in different ways, and it isn't just like God directly speaking out to you; they're subtle, right? So when people
Hmm.
tell other people that don't, or have a different religious background than them to just like have faith and believe, it comes across, and I have all things considered, it just comes across as a easier said than done type scenario because yeah, you can just have faith and just believe, but that doesn't mean they'll have the same outcome as you, you know. Um,
Hmm.
and if the goal is to spread the word, right? But the only way you can, not only way, but one of the main ways that people kind of carry their faith and their weight is through either one to ones or having their prayers get answered in a way, shape, or form. How are they able to spread the word if it's these one to one experiences, just in general? Because it sounds like God put you in a rock and a hard place just to kind of, you know, do that type of thing to begin with, especially if he's expressing himself in vague ways like that.
Um, my question to you is, what do you think spreading the word is?
Um, just um, by the bare bones definition, just preaching, um,
Telling people
giving
Jesus is
your
God?
experience, yeah, giving your experiences and what led you to the path and whatnot, and just using,
I
I
would
say
say,
using empathy, most definitely.
yeah. I would say the bare bones is a good way to describe how you think it. That's bare bones. Spreading the word is not just telling, like going out with microphones screaming, Jesus
Oh, of
is
course
Lord,
not. Yeah,
Jesus
yeah,
is Lord. It's like, it's not only saying, but doing. Like in the small instances in life, you think, like for example, a swear word. I try not to say them, although I know I will. Right?
oh
It's
yeah,
just the small instances, like you try to work better in the will of God, or you like let someone know, like if they swear and they might also be a Christian, but they might not be as strong, tell them shouldn't be saying that, or spreading like good deeds. That's something that God's taught us to do. Um, you know how what's it called? You know that slap on the cheek, turn the other side instead
yeah,
of eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
yeah.
That's also something. It's not only spreading the word in words, it's spreading the word in actions,
Right.
no matter how small or how big. Because as God says, I can't, I'm not, I'm so, I would love to pull up Bible quotes and I genuinely would, but I am going to pass out. The thing is, he says, I'm going to put this vaguely as well, um, that, oh no, I was talking about eye for an eye, tooth for the tooth. He says, we are all born in sin, right? He accepts us no matter how dirty we are, right? Um, so regardless, we're all sinners. We're all going to do wrong. We're born into sin
So
since Adam and Eve
so
because
this just
Satan
tells
tempted with
me
the apple.
this just tells me in like a poetic way that we were kind of designed to fail. Is it the goal to just be humble
Yeah,
about it?
pretty much. Isn't in general, don't humans have flaws?
Oh,
Maybe
of
your
course. Oh yeah.
appearance. In science, when was the first bloke to make like a bomb, he put lead over uranium or something and he just melted his skin off or something like that.
I think.
There was something like that, but it's like stuff like that. Like little mistakes, like that can be. That's like think of that as sin. Like the mistakes he made. The bloke accidentally made a bomb. in like an unprotected place, melted his skin off pretty much or whatever. But then you also have like sin, like it could be like in real life a little mistake, like as in slightly denting someone's car, walking out, or the sin equivalent to that would be swear word. Or in society, what's something really bad you'd say? Like terrorism, right? No one's gonna forgive you for that. You could probably get the death sentence, yeah?
Yeah, it's kind
Depending
of
on the
like it's kind
severity.
of like the secular version of that irreversible sin blasphemy.
hmm That's what I was gonna relate it to. It's like if you terrorize 10,000 people, you kill them, and you just do it, but then you blaspheme against God. The actions and mistakes you have, terrorism's also a sin, which is obvious, but I'm just trying to relate,
Of
I'm
course,
just
yeah.
trying to separate the transcendent from imminent. But it's just the sin has an equivalent. If you get what do you get what I'm trying to say? Like you're born in sin, as I was saying, and you being born flawed is seen regardless if you believe in Christianity or not. You will always make mistakes, and those mistakes could be sinful or could just be denting someone's car and saying sorry.
So you're implying that no sin, not all sins are equal.
Um, that's the thing. That's something that I can't fully explain. But in short, God will forgive you. God is the just. God created us, the universe, and everything we know.
Hmm.
God created the minds we think with, right? In my perspective.
Of course, yeah.
So him doing that, him knowing your intentions while committing a sin, he'll know whether to judge you if it's right or wrong. He'll know. When you do something bad, right? For example, as a kid, when you stole for the first time, which you obviously did you feel guilty?
Probably only when I got caught, to be honest, because I was I
Yeah.
was kleptic back then. To be absolutely honest, last thing I do is lie.
So, but like you felt guilty after, yes?
Yeah, when getting caught, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. You felt guilty. I see that as a gift because regardless of what you do, I feel like some people obviously they kill without remorse. That's what's the word?
That's definitely
Um
blaspheming God.
killing without remorse. What's that called when someone doesn't feel um what can I think?
I thought that was
Not
blaspheming.
schizophrenic. Why am I thinking of schizophrenic? Not schizophrenic. Um psychopathic. There we go.
Okay,
You know how they can go on like killing rampages and just be like, oh no, what
yeah,
have I done?
like apathetic
It's that
as a
you see
result.
how other people around them would be like, "What are you doing? You're a monster." But him personally, he'd be like, "It was just thrilling. I found it fun." Like he wouldn't understand how others think.
Yeah, it's the whole. So people just like they
Yeah.
like to watch the world burn type mentality.
hmm
Oh yeah,
That's the thing with God. God created that man, did he not? In my perspective, he did. So God would understand how he thinks and acts. Um, how can I explain this? Wait, let my brain.
yeah. Do your thing.
I'm
I'll
so
finish mine.
sorry. My brain's not working today, man.
That's okay, man.
No, it is off. It is bad today. No, I feel like I'm stuttering. I feel like an idiot right now. Wait. Hold
Don't,
on.
because this really isn't a battle of intellect. Nor do I want it to be that way. Because like
Oh,
yeah, testing my
100%.
yeah. Although I
I
tested
really
my
appreciate that,
IQ,
by the way.
it would not like that. I do not bring it up at all. I just wanted. It was out of curiosity, and I don't really
No,
care
I
what
just feel
people. You know.
because I know what I want to say. I just can't say it. So, moral of the story is I'm trying to get to you. All right, since I'm just gonna sum it down because I cannot think deeply right now. I'm so sorry. I want to have a good debate with you, but I cannot force my brain to work. Regardless, God created us in the perspective of in Christianity. He created each and every one of us in His image. Sinful, we all are, and He's the eternal judge. He will judge when you die,
Okay.
regardless of what you've done.
See, and that regardless of what you done, detail that kind of sticks out to me like a sore thumb. You know, because it implies predeterminism. And there is a verse where God mentions that He chooses the people that He saves, which makes sense because He's a sovereign God, right? And
hmm
it kind of gets me wondering if um, He really created all of this, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't outside looking in, but in an instance of like all the people that he created, he knew he was gonna. Some people were gonna flourish, some people aren't. So like, what's the point of all of this happening? Type thing. And
I see what you mean.
and even something as small as praying, like especially if God knows the outcome, if you're gonna be saved, would there really be a need to pray? Especially if He knew you meant well.
You think it's predetermined? Yeah.
Well, you implied it. That's the only thing I was curious about.
Yeah, that's the thing. But if it were to be predetermined, we wouldn't have free will. Free
And that's
will
another
and
thing.
predetermination
Oh yeah,
contradict each other, do they not?
I no, I absolutely agree, and that's why I bring it up often too, because it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
God gave us free will,
Free will.
if God gave us free will, that means He limited Himself in terms of power, right? Because
Hmm.
He wouldn't know exactly what choices we made. He probably would just know the outcome of His omniscience, right? But even
Uh-huh.
then, it wouldn't be omniscience because you wouldn't know the journey that we take to get to that route or to get to the end. I'm not saying that it matters to me. Like I don't care about it really because I don't really focus on this type of stuff. I just focus on me being as good of a person or as best of a person as I can be. But it's like it felt like a conflict of interest because if it's predetermined, right, then God knew the outcome. But if it's free will, God created us, right? Because right, the flood happened or whatever. But I
Uh-huh.
believe making him saying that he left the earth autonomous and just as a result of the free will, all the harm and all the suffering happens. It makes the most sense to me. Like it makes a lot of sense.
Uh-huh. You say you said like all the suffering and all the harm was from us and our free will.
Yeah, of course. Because free will is a
In
blessing and a curse.
Genesis, in Genesis, I'm so sorry. I would love to pull up quotes and verses and chapters. But when Adam or when Eve eats the apple, who tempted her?
The serpent, but
Satan.
here's my I was gonna say, but here's my question on that too. Why was he
Hmm.
there in the first place?
So before, before there was even an earth and all that, I'm pretty sure in heaven, Satan, the one was an archangel, like
Yeah,
Michael,
his name was
one of the
Lucifer.
highest rank. Yes, yes. He got, what's it called? Not, I want to say kicked out, but shot down to hell because I think he got a glimpse of his own beauty, thought he could be better than God, started gathering up angels, tried to take over God. That's why Archangel Michael not disbanded him, but sent him down
Yeah, he banished him
and
from and got
banished.
demoted
That's the
from
word.
Lucifer, and then Earth version of him is Satan.
Then yeah, then he has to work now. Since you know how we're like the divine from God, we're created from God. Who does Lucifer hate? God, right?
Yeah, he hates the very thing that
Would
created
would
him.
wouldn't he? Wouldn't you? Like you thought you were better than someone, and then somehow they just not even God touched him. Archangel Michael did
Right? Yeah,
99.999%
fair,
of it.
fair,
So
fair. Yeah.
so
Um.
you'd hate him even more. Imagine like a pit bull going after you when you hate the person, like a 3-year-old pit bull.
Mhm. Yeah.
You'd be a bit annoyed. And then to get back at God, he came after us. That's where the serpent comes in. The first two of God got tempted into eating the apple.
But would you think God would be aware enough for him to know that he's in the garden, or would not?
You
Because
see,
yeah,
that's
he was
that's
all
where
knowing.
God, yeah, that's where God let the free will happen.
So
They have
the
the free will to
choices,
take from the
right? So the
tree.
choices led to that, and that's when free will already happened.
Hmm.
But what was the punishment then? Was it just death because were they immortal at the time? What was the
That's
punishment?
the thing. No, nothing and no one died. The plants never died. The animals never died. They never. Everything lived in. Everything that you see in the Bible. The way I think of it,
Hmm.
when God made something, He said it was good. Light and said it was good. God made the water. It was good. Everything He said after He created, He said it was good in Genesis. Genesis is my favorite book to quote, if you can't already tell.
It's an
But
interesting book.
yeah, yeah. Um. So what I think of it is everything that God said was good will not be in hell. So how can I?
Wait a minute. So water wouldn't be in hell? I wonder why it would in the first place.
Because when the way hell works is when you die and you go to hell, it's because of the choices you made on earth was your choice to live separate from God, so you live eternity separate from God.
I
So
guess I
everything
guess
that
what
God would have gifted
qualifies.
you,
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say. I guess what qualifies you to be the leader of it, since Lucifer got demoted to Satan, and then Satan got demoted to the devil. But he
hmm
is he's the guy that kind of regulates it.
Yep, and you see how Lucifer, chose to live his life separate from God, how he thought he was better. Where did he go after that, after choosing he was better, or chose not to almost take him over? Where did he end up?
On what was it, Earth or in hell?
In hell.
Oh, it was hell. Okay.
So if someone on earth would be like, "Oh, why do I need to listen to God? I can just do whatever I want. I can go do drugs. I can go crash a car. I can go blow up a building."
Hmm.
You see, if you think that way, where will you end up? In hell.
So are we in a hierarchy system? Because to be fair, Lucifer, when he got demoted to Satan, his result was being on Earth. So does the quote "hell on Earth" does that actually have some weight to it?
Yes, it does. Because the earth is almost it's pretty much riddled with evil.
Of
They're,
course, yeah.
they're Satan's almost taken most of it, except he obviously can't take us as whole. Um, but what's it called? The way. Sorry, one second. My
Yeah,
brain's
take your time.
reconfiguring. So it does have weight to it 100% because the serpent that came down and tempted Adam and Eve, he tempted um Eve to the apple, then Eve gave Adam. The way he tempted them, he gave them a positive outcome, right? He said, "You know everything," because it was the tree of knowledge, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah.
They were naked. They didn't know what, like, now we cover our private parts and all that. They were naked. They didn't know what that was. Satan's telling him, "Oh, it's good for you. Trust me. You get to know everything. You get to know everything. God's trying to hide information from you." They're like, "Oh, what the heck? All right, we'll have a bite. It's just an apple."
But think
That's
about it.
he said, "The whole world is yours. The only thing you can't eat is from that tree."
But think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity was born from free will, right? Because we all have our own individual
100%.
brains and choices. Okay, so Satan knowing this, or the serpent or whatever, Satan knowing this,
Yep.
he used that to his advantage because this is why Lucifer in general was one of the most interesting characters for me. This is a hot take, but it's one of the most interesting characters for me because he came. Not only did he come from God, he knew the Bible and used that to mislead people and use that to his advantage to misguide people in general. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that implies wisdom can definitely be misled. And that was one of the very basic, bare bones example for that. He knew that as a result of free will, these people are gullible. Curiosity is gonna grow inside of them, and as a result, they're gonna bite the apple, or they're gonna bite the take a
Mm-hmm.
fruit from the tree of knowledge. Sorry, I'm stuttering. I woke up too.
No, no, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're
um,
fine. You're fine.
and I, I still can't understand like the circumstances around it, right? Because like God did give
Uh-huh.
them the choice of like doing whatever they want or whatnot, just not eating from the tree. But like I want to kind of attack the point from where it is. Why did he specifically choose that tree specifically out of anything in the garden?
All right. So, have you ever heard tests from God? God tests you, right?
Yeah, test your faith.
Yeah, yeah. You've seen the Jesus in the desert for 40 days, no food, no water.
Uh, yeah. Oh yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's why we celebrate Lent. It's why we celebrate Lent
Right.
before Easter. Yes. So Satan obviously tested Christ with all these good things. He said, "I'll make you the king of Jerusalem. I'll give you gold. I'll give you this. I'll give you that." Because you see how he's fully divine and fully human? He was testing the human part of Christ, but the divine part is the only reason it didn't fall for it. Imagine being in a desert, almost about it, you're pretty much almost dead. 40
Mm-hmm.
days, no food, no water, scorching desert, sandstorms. You get offered what, like in this world, realistically, what you want is money, food, water, a good family. You want all that stuff, right? You want materialistic items
Unfortunately.
as an but yeah, obviously, like it's what you want. It's like obviously, who wouldn't want? I even want that as a Christian.
A
The
part, a
hell,
part of
I
it
want millions.
a part of it is like, well, some of this stuff kind of made the whole greed and the whole wanting to control
Hmm.
power thing worse because like I said, capitalism. I now that I looked into it, the main reason that we value a currency of some sort or whatnot and put value to it is as a result is the reason why monopolies exist. And when monopolies exist, it's going to breed control whether we like it or not. So it's like I think people just like power. Some people just like control, and that's just as a result of it,
Hmm.
really.
Hmm.
Man,
You see, yeah, yeah. Back to the tests
yeah, of
of
course, yeah.
God. You were telling me how Satan would have known they had free will. That's not 100%. He could have just been testing them,
Why does he have any to
and
test
that could
them?
have been that could have been the first. That probably was the first test of humanity.
Mhm.
That's God. God knows. God's omniscient, is he not?
Yeah, yeah.
Knows it all. God put us on the earth, gave us free will. Says Satan's gonna try to get back at me. Let's see if my divine people, or not divine, but my people that I've created, my creation, will go against me. Guess what we did? Our stupid asses went for the apple.
But listen,
So,
listen.
mhm.
Wouldn't that not make him all good? Especially if he knew this was gonna happen. Wouldn't that make him not all good?
All right, there's a contradiction there somewhere,
Yeah.
but him being fully just, there's a contradiction there. I can't. All right, I'll wait. Can I go to the bathroom real quick? I'll be
Yeah, no,
back.
take it. Yeah, take your
Sorry,
time.
I'm
Take
gonna.
your time.
One second, one second.
It was the urgency. No, I'm not laughing at him at all. It was just random. It was like off the cuff.
I thought that guy was an adult, but he's a minor. Oh my
Yeah.
god. He told me he was above age.
Interesting. That's why I was like,
Mhm.
you said a surprising text. I was like, he must have told you one thing and then meant the other this very moment.
Yeah,
I don't blame you. This is why I don't jump the gun. This is why I don't assume. Man.
yeah.
What do you? Were you hearing this discussion the whole time?
Yeah, I'm sitting here listening.
Oh, sweet. What were your thoughts on this so far?
Um, I mean, I'm Orthodox, so I mean, I believe in the same thing, I guess.
Of course,
But
yes.
I heard that whole conversation. I have a Bluetooth headset, by the way.
You mother.
oh, oh shit.
I heard the whole thing. Nah, I only lied to you. Sorry for that, by the way. Is because I've told other people my age before, and they just instantly report me. They go, "Bro, you're reported. You're reported." And they just report me, and I get banned
Well,
for
I
that.
wasn't gonna report you anyway.
No, I just didn't want to take the risk. Realistic.
I don't
I'm
blame you.
sorry for
I
lying.
don't blame you.
I'm genuinely sorry
I
for
know
lying.
I'm not an adult either. I just said that because it's a 17 plus.
Nah,
age.
you're lying. How old are you?
I know I'm 17, so I mean it's 17 and
Nah.
plus, but it's
Yeah,
also
fair enough. I mean, I
adult.
only got a year left, so realistically,
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
it should be 15 plus. But you know,
Mm.
realistically,
Yeah.
it should be. But alright,
But
so
there
where
are
we
like
at?
9-year-olds on that. All right.
No, no,
you
yeah, they were
can
like
continue.
8-year-olds. No, we can have a break. Oh, no, I'm joking. Alright, so where we at?
Ah, dang. Let me see.
I hate this so much.
Right.
So so much.
Wait.
What,
Let
Satan?
me think.
The test, I think, testing.
Huh?
Huh?
Let me see.
Yes. Really? Oh, you're going back
Oh,
on the
does it
recording?
make no? Because if I stop it, it's gonna process everything at once, so it'd take too long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said. I think where I left off is would God be all knowing, or not all knowing, but would it make him all good? as a result
All
of that?
good, all
Yeah, that's
good,
what it
all
was.
good. You see, that is something I cannot fully explain. That is something that is a grey area, right? But the thing with that, you see how like kids were born and then die straight away.
Yeah, infanticide. That's
Like
also mentioned in the Old Testament.
also makes him seem like he's not all good.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I know. I just threw myself under the bus there, but that is something I can't fully explain.
No, you're being honest, and I appreciate
As
that.
much, I would love to. I would love to be able to translate you right now. Bring Jesus to your front door, make him knock, say, "How are you? Here's some pizza as well. Let's have a chat." I'd love to. That is something I can't explain, but something I can assure you and 100% give you from the words of God and the eyewitnesses and whatever is that He is just. So although He might not be all good here, I can assure you He is just in heaven when you are being judged. Just like a what's it called? A judge in a courthouse? He looks at evidence, right? They look at evidence, and then a jury makes a decision.
Mhm.
So, based on evidence is how they say whether you're free to go, you don't pay your ticket, or for that specific ticket you go to jail,
Mhm.
right? God looks at every person you've looked at, how you've looked at them. Have you looked at them lustfully? Have you looked at them well? He's looked at every thought you've had, every word you've spoken, every dream you've had. every prayer you've said, every intention you've had to do something, even that you've done it, intention, urges, feelings, everything. God looks at each and every one of every single hour of every single day of your entire life and then judges you on that. Doesn't get any juster than that, does it?
Yeah, it really doesn't. I agree.
That's something that has put me on the path of Jesus knows, like really, God knows, like he's seen, he's heard, he knows. So when I act, I try acting my best.
And I respect that.
That's just literally the same with you. You literally said you want to be the best person you can be. So realistically, you're not doing bad. At least you're not going out there M16s out and just
Of course, man. You know, because I hear the you know the school shootings, and hell,
hmm
I didn't even know church shootings were a thing until I hopped on the what was
church
it?
shootings. There's also church
Oh
burnings and
yeah,
church bombings.
yeah, and like
hmm
religious or not, I don't care. Right, I don't care.
It's still
It's
not
still
nice to
horrible.
blow
It's a
people up,
horrible
regard even in
act.
like as a Christian and someone who's had history with Islam,
Hmm.
which I don't really hate. I don't hate people. I
Right, me
just
neither.
the religion isn't something I would fully encourage to someone because of the teachings. That's just something I'm just gonna throw out there.
Of
But
course, yeah,
it's like, bro, to blow up a mosque or to shoot up a mosque, bro, it's people. They're you just look different and think different. That's literally it. Like, what are
yeah.
you doing? How?
This is
I don't.
this
Yeah.
has been a generational thing for quite some time,
Honest.
you
It's
know, and
only generational. It's been since the beginning of time.
of course, and I think although there is really good values in the Bible or whatnot, I'm glad we kind of made this culture shift and you know came to the realization that although there are great things in the Bible, we did away with all the horrible things that has been done and what the rulings were about that. I can give you a pretty solid example if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so let's say if a woman was promiscuous in this today's day and age, would they deserve death, or do you want death upon them?
Sorry, you keep cutting out. What'd you say?
Let's say a woman was promiscuous in today's day and age. Do you wish death
hmm
or want death upon that woman for being that way?
Definitely not.
All right. So
Definitely not.
I was going to give an Old Testament example, and of course, I hate bringing up a lot of Old Testament stuff because people normally don't go buy
100%.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
People normally
yeah,
don't go buy
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, Deuteronomy. What was it? Deuteronomy 22, 13 through 21. I think.
Let me
Just off the top of my head.
let me pull
Yeah, of
let
course.
me pull that up.
Yeah,
Bible.
and you can feel free to read it out loud, and I can give you the kind of
Yeah,
experience
yeah,
I
yeah.
went.
Just give me 1 second. Said, how do you spell Deuteronomy?
D
I
E
find it
U T. Yeah,
Deuteronomy.
okay. I was gonna spell it too.
Yeah, it's my fault. No, I'm just not able to think right now. I keep asking, but please cut me some. I hate being like this.
No, take your time. I was gonna
Um,
present like some of the points and whatnot because before I left Christianity, I also documented my journey and wrote kind of most of my stuff down. And most of the stuff that I bring
by
up
the
to
way,
people,
can I just say something? So I'm just gonna cut you
yeah, of
off.
course.
Go to your user settings because you keep cutting out. You see, go to voice and video.
Wait. Oh damn, where is it? Oh, is my what was it? Noise suppression, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's
Say
it.
user
Or
settings.
do you
Where
see
is that?
your input you see the bottom left of your screen next to your name? See
Oh,
that
okay,
little
here it is.
cogwheel? Yeah. And then you see voice and video.
I'm looking.
It's on the left
Here it is.
side.
Let's go down a bit.
Yeah. Scroll down a little bit. It should say automatically determine input sensitivity. You got that?
Well, where I'm trying to look for it.
It's near the top. It's
Oh,
fairly
near the
close to the
top.
top. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, here, it's on. Turn it off.
Yeah, turn it off and put it like fairly low.
Does it react
Oh, you got it?
immediately?
Yeah, yeah, it
Do
should.
I sound okay?
Yes, you do. Alright.
Thank you.
Now that I've done the dumb decision of doing that, where were we at?
Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21.
Deuteronomy 22, you said?
Yeah, verse 13 through 21. And you can feel free to read it out loud if you'd like.
22. chapter 22, verse.
13 through 20.
Sorry, I'm sorry, bro. I'm actually so sorry.
You're okay, man. It's
20.
okay.
No, I just don't like it. I just don't like it myself. Like me, if I was you, I would be swinging at my monitor. I'm not gonna lie.
Patience of a saint, they say.
Oh, well, you are a human saint. I'm gonna be honest. Even though that might be blasphemy, I'm not gonna lie.
No, don't say that.
That might actually, chapter 22, uh, 13 to 21. Let's see. All right. I'm usually a good reader, but let's see. If a man takes his wife and after sleeping with her dislikes her and slanders her and gives her a bad name, saying, "I married this woman, but when I approached her, I did not find proof of her virginity. Then the young woman's father and mother shall bring to the town the father." Sorry, I'm gonna start skim reading.
Yeah.
Santa. Take the men, punish him. They shall 100 shekels of silver. Father's house. Oh, no, definitely not stoner. No.
Oh,
All right. I actually have this verse highlighted in my personal Bible. Give me 1 second.
okay, for sure. Yeah.
It's in the New Testament. I got a skim read.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty sure it's in John. I love the Bible.
As much as I'm not a part of it, I do too. It's a very interesting piece of history.
Even to read it in
Of
general
course.
is actually nice. Matthew. Let's see what it says on divorce. Please tell me it's somewhere here. Let's see. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna have to find them using a paper copy.
Take your time.
Matthew. It's not here. Here we go. No. No. I found one on adultery, but that's not the one I'm looking for.
Mhm.
Oh, I have another good one right there. I'm actually gonna. I think I might keep that one there. I might just pull that one up to you as a deflate. Heavy laden. No, I can't find it. No. Alright, I might have to sum it up to you. Let me just see. Just keep it. No, it's so disappointing. I'm disappointed in myself. I'm actually disappointed in myself.
Don't be. I was just gonna bring up a point on it.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
I'll just keep trying to
So
find.
you understand the premise was if a man accused a
That-
woman for promiscuity, the only way to prove that was the sheet, and they bring out the sheet for the townspeople or for the elders, and if there was blood on the sheet, what was it? The man finds the woman's father 100 shekels, like you mentioned. But if the case actually turned out to be true and there's no blood on the sheet, that implies promiscuity, and she gets stoned to death because it's an act detestable by God. I think it says at the end of every ruling. Of course. But of course, context is important. Deuteronomy was basically
100%.
Deuteronomy was based about Moses giving the rulings to the townspeople before he left. And what didn't sit right was that he said these are rulings that were given by God. But here's the thing: flash forward to modern times. Now that we have the science, technology that we do, and the science information that we have, a little under half of women bleed on their first time. So this implied that innocent lives were possibly taken away because of this ruling.
Yeah, that's something I was gonna say is that they use such old techniques and there's a somewhere in the New Testament it talks about divorce and leaving a wife of yours, right?
Of course.
Or a husband leaving a wife and a wife leaving a husband.
Right.
it doesn't say anything about stoning. It says, all right, let me try to sum this up.
Yeah.
Not sum it up, but try to say what I can remember. It's if you were to divorce your wife and get remarried, that it is adultery, and adultery is a sin almost out of lust. Near the same thing.
Right.
You know what adultery is?
That's promiscuity, right? Adultery.
Uh,
Sleeping with other people
well,
that aren't in relations to you, right?
sleeping specifically no, but what it says is adultery is when you look at someone lustfully while still being married. Like you can be in a relationship, look outside your window,
Oh, okay, I
say,
see. I thought
"Wow,
that
I
was
would want to sleep with that
I
woman,"
thought that was
and that's
sin.
adultery.
Okay, I got you.
That's committing adultery with your eyes.
Right. Okay, I see what you mean now. Okay, I see what you mean.
Now do you see the part where I say God sees every thought and every sight you have? Like everything you do, see, and think, He knows.
Thank goodness I'm
You've
not
committed
God because that'd
adultery.
be mentally
You,
tasking to have.
yeah, I would personally, and He's omnipresent, so He's in
Right.
all of us. He knows all of us at the same time. But regardless, so you being married and leaving that marriage, even as a woman, and then going and getting remarried and having a whole family, that's still adultery. Because the only excuse to become remarried is if your partner dies and you become a widow, or that what's the widow version of a husband?
I forget they beat a widow too. I thought it was just a status, like a marriage status.
Is it? Is
I
it?
thought it was a
Oh,
status
well, I think it
or a
is too. But
recluse or
and
something,
anyway,
maybe.
yeah, it's something like that. Anyways, but yeah, it's the only excuse because you can't really avoid death as a human. Only Christ has not evaded but resurrected from death and beat death as our eternal punishment.
So, I had something in
But
mind. I forgot what it was. Oh yeah,
um,
I was going to mention it's a shame that we have that because there could be some nuances where the husband can be kind of I know there's rulings around it, but the husband can be abusive,
oh yeah,
stuff like that, like some nuances.
mm-hmm,
And if
mm-hmm.
he just
Divorce,
can't leave,
yeah, yeah,
that's pretty unfortunate.
100%. You see, that's where the just thing contradicts that. If your
Right.
husband's bashing you every night and you divorce him and get remarried, have a perfectly good Christian family, God's gonna look at you and say, "I'm so happy you did that," instead of kept getting bashed.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
if you choose to stay because you love this man, you're clearly doing something wrong. I'm so sorry. I can't be one to speak for you because I've never been in an abusive relationship, obviously.
Hmm.
But to choose to be in a worse situation when there is options available, well, obviously sometimes the police can maybe not do their job properly. They can be
Yeah,
found
the
not guilty and
nuances.
they can just keep coming after you. Obviously, that's also where free will comes from. God's limited. God can't just reach in with his arm, grab the person out, and just launch him into space
That is
because there's
unfortunate,
still
though. We
free
would we
will.
would love for that to happen.
Oh, but imagine just getting flicked off the first
But
safe.
yeah, I get it.
Oh my goodness. I was meant to say surface as a first. I didn't even talk. What was that? But yeah, that would be nice. It's just, yeah.
And the point I was trying to get at was,
Um,
how I mentioned the cultural shift. Like obviously you have a different outlook than what the Old Testament provided, right? I mean, it's obvious. It shows
uh-huh,
because you have the
uh-huh.
same kind of moral compass or similar moral compass to me,
Most,
right? Most, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but
most.
very similar like interests. But
Yes,
that's just
yes,
because
yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
wrote it in my document too. I can get to reading that after we're done, conversating about it. And I can read it out to you because I wrote an excerpt on it and get your thoughts on that yourself.
Uh-huh,
And a lot of things that you mentioned,
uh-huh.
I also mentioned just in general, either in my document or in my excerpt. And I love reading to people. And 9 times out of 10, people agree. Like, and it's like an amazing like closing the loop type thing because this whole like family religious trauma thing has been this like constant closed circle of a loop playing in my head for quite some
Mm-hmm.
time. And for me to realize that I can have a different outlook on life while having civil discussions with people that don't have the same religious background as me, it speaks volumes. And it kind of it reflects and represents how far we made in society, which I'm very thankful for.
Mm-hmm. I'm thankful for you being the way you are. Even no far how far society's gone, I've tried debating someone like this, and they've just like they don't even let me talk. They don't let me breathe. I'll
I hate those
sneeze, and they'll
guys,
be like,
man.
"That's wrong, mate. That's a wrong
I
judgment."
hate
I'm like,
them.
"What do you mean?
I
I just
hate those guys,
sneezed."
dude.
Yeah. I would love to say I hate them. I just dislike their personality.
Right, hate this, hate the
I don't like the word
sentiment. I get it.
me personally. I just don't like the word hate that much.
Right,
It's a
yeah,
desperate
yeah.
word I use
Fair, fair. I was raised that way.
because they are made. Anyone can change, but realistically, I hate that personality. That mindset is just I'm right, you're wrong. Like no, you're.
Of course.
I'm so sorry. You can't know everything. I can't even know everything about my own religion.
Yeah, but
I can't know everything about my religion.
did you have any questions about me? Then I'll ask any questions I have in mind afterwards.
My question is to you is there any reason you're an atheist specifically and not anything else?
Um, Man, good question. It's mainly due to religious trauma. That, and then I usually give the short answer to people in discussions. I say lack of experience, like I mentioned in early
Yeah, yeah.
weeks, but I'll give you the long answer. The long answer is religious trauma. And my dad was, we were raised in Christian household, but my dad was a Southern Baptist.
Hmm.
He had the whole old school corporal punishment way of dealing with discipline, which was not how it's reflected in the Bible. People mistake that verse, beat him with a rod and he will not die, or spare the rod, spoil the child.
Mm,
Where little do they know, the rod isn't a weapon; it's a tool to guide shepherds. It was a metaphor on discipline, not actually beat your
it's
kid.
like yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
But what was it? Yeah, my dad followed that, and I didn't know I had autism until I think my third job in, and I noticed I looked into a speech impediment that I have called pololalia. You can look this up if you want to, but it's a condition where after I get done saying a sentence, I'll repeat it, pieces of it, repeatedly, very rapidly, and I had this all my childhood. I asked my mom, did I have this little thing where I repeat myself a little bit to myself or in whispers after I get done saying something? And she said, yeah. So this either ties to two things: either A, early onset schizophrenia, or B, mild signs of autism. And obviously, I'm not crazy.
So yeah, all right, that's fair because you can clearly have a regular conversation. But thing with this is I just branked again. 3:14 in the morning. Come on.
Time flew. Goodness.
All right, let me try. All right, so um, oh, I'm gonna feel like a big asshole saying this, but I personally think the best thing for you is to try look past that trauma. You know, there's multiple denominations, is what I'm gonna call them, of like Christianity.
Oh, of
There's
course.
Catholic,
30,000 plus.
Orthodox, like Anastasia, and all of them.
Of course.
You know how forgot the one
Wait, what did you just call me?
unorthodox.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah,
called
yeah.
me a wet dog. I
What?
was like,
No,
what?
no, no.
What?
What's going on? Sorry. Really good
Hell no. Alright, but continuing with the conversation, uh it's that I personally think what you is whatever's happened in the past has happened in the past. That is I feel like I'm wrong saying this because I have no right to speak on what you've experienced, what has happened to you and how it's happened. I just feel I know what's best and what can help is just following in the faith I feel is correct
You know
and
what?
a faith that's helped me personally.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. Right. So it's like, yeah, I still have civil conversations with my dad now. Like even recently, I actually had a chance to pick up on a religious conversation with my dad, and he has a pretty simplistic outlook on it. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but like it makes sense of what his view is, and since he was raised that way, it only makes sense to him that he raises me that way, right? And don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
and don't feel like you're an asshole for saying that at all, because you aren't an asshole in the slightest. And even then, I don't care how it's said. I just want to know at this point, because I used to care about what you say. It's how you say it. I used to care about it so much, but now it's like as long as it's the truth, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. It's like saying 2 plus 2 is 4, or 2 plus 2 is fucking 4. It doesn't change the fact that it's 4, and I understand that now.
Oh my gosh, that is the best perspective I've seen in my life. That is actually really smart. Holy.
But yeah, no, we're in good relations. I just didn't know that was really what was really going on in my childhood. Until my mom had the discussion, and then when my mom was discussing it, she's religious too. But when my mom talked about it or
Mhm.
whatnot, I've never. I think it was the first time I've seen her cry, like ever, like in my entire life. I've never seen her cry until that very specific moment. So it's like it probably meant a lot to her that she went against my dad's wishes of just spanking and pray and hope that he's all right. Even though I had autism, they didn't know about it.
Mhm.
But my
Mhm.
mom doing it and realizing that something was off because I didn't receive corporal punishment that well. Her taking me to therapy was the single best choice she made for me. And I'm not like I don't want to tie any like religious propaganda around it, but like if there's help and we have the option to seek help, you know, feel free, please do it. Like it's life changing.
Hundred
It's life
percent.
changing. And
100%.
has religion helped people? Yes. And I'm no way, shape, or form am I bashing it or disrespecting it in any way, shape, or form. It just wasn't for me. And
I know. Oh, bro, 100%. I know exactly what you mean.
um,
Don't even think you're coming after religion. Don't no,
of
no.
course not. And I used to be that I'm right, you're wrong atheist or not. And you know, over time, I realized my life's too short to be arguing over this. My life's too short to be complaining, to be trying to change
You
people's
only live
minds.
once
Right,
anyway,
right.
so yeah, might as well live efficiently.
And yeah, that's why I just kind of slowed down and just started having civil conversations with open-minded Christians. And I have that in my document if you'd like for me to read that.
Yeah, go for
All right.
it.
Feel free to stop me at any point in time to ask questions or whatnot.
I'm so sorry. I need to pee again. I'm
Okay, do your
drinking my
thing.
whole water bottle. Alright. Hey, don't me. Hey, Anastasia, you better watch what you say. I got a Bluetooth headset.
Yo,
Yeah.
spit game. Talk your mess.
Tread lightly. Tread lightly.
No, I already learned my lesson. I'll be nice.
Oh man, this is one of my favorite. And I'm glad I kind of recorded this and it's gonna be documented, man. This is one of my favorite topics ever. I'm gonna, well, yeah, oh, he's already listening. Yeah, I'm now a thing called a religious observer, where I do love having deep discussions about religion and people's background on religion without me being associated with it, because it's one hell of a rabbit hole to dive into, and there is no shortage of content or potential discussion when it comes to it. Because, like he said, there is a lot of denominations of Christianity. Like I said, 30,000 plus, 40,000 plus different denominations or whatever. It's a lot. So it's definitely one of my favorite pastimes. As long as the person that listens or is willing to have a conversation about it is definitely comfortable with it. Because the last thing I want to do is talk about religion or whatnot.
Talk to a
and
brick
then-
wall.
Well, that, but then talk about religion at the expense of people's feelings. Because I know, and I got to remember, people eat, sleep, and dream their worldviews.
100%.
But yeah. Are you back?
Yeah. I was gonna say that some of the denominations are actually incorrect. Like, they are Christian, they do believe in the fundamentals, it's just some stuff they do, I believe, is incorrect in the teachings of Jesus. Anyways, you can continue your reading now.
Okay, the title.
We'll stop.
Yeah. The title is My Consensus with Christianity. Here we go.
Mhm.
I often hear arguments about free will, evolution, and the Big Bang. One thing I can appreciate from Christianity is its historical connection to the development of modern science. Many of the early pioneers of science were religious, which made sense given that religious belief was almost universal during their time. Despite their faith, they seek truth, knowledge, and knowledge about our world, and for that, I'm grateful. I understand that certain views and biblical teachings from that era may still resonate with people today. However, applying ancient texts, especially when parts were written decades after the events they described, to our current societal standards can feel somewhat off. Some principles may still hold value, but the idea that a book written from a mix of oral traditions and eyewitness accounts should be a direct guide for modern life seems challenging. Though the persistence of religious practice through the centuries is impressive, and the more severe actions like executing non-believers have thankfully faded away. Science has become my guiding framework, and the deeper I studied the Bible, the more I found myself pulling away from it. This is my favorite sentence, by the way. Not all atheists reject belief out of a desire to disprove others or because they actively want to be atheists. Some, myself included, may have grown up wanting to believe but struggled to come to terms with their upbringing and their evolving views. Similarly, many Christians remain in their faith because it's a core part of their upbringing, experiences, or lack of questioning. Others might hold on to faith due to personal experiences, miracles, or simply because it provides meaning. I found that not all Christians push their belief onto others as well, and those are the ones I truly love conversing with. Most of the time, they are open-minded, which makes for great discussions. I was once called weird for having a thoughtful 10-minute conversation on religion with a friend, but it left me reflecting on how great those conversations can be. What were your thoughts?
That is, I genuinely have no criticism on that because it's it is genuine facts, is that your experiences with everything is nothing incorrect.
Hmm.
Uh,
Did Known have any take on that? Since you
huh?
did Known have any takes on that?
Sorry, would no one have any takes
No,
on that?
known the other guest.
No, she said be right back.
Oh no, it's JFK.
Yeah, unlucky.
No.
Unlucky. Um, so I heard you talking about the scientists being believers at their time
Facts.
because
Yes.
believers because it was only at their time. I actually like that because the findings they found weren't based on what they just saw. Like it could have, you know how scientists. Well, I'm not trying to point anyone
Of
out.
course.
I'm just saying like how they force people like to say, I found this, it disproves this. Like as a Christian, you finding something and then be like, oh, this is nice God's creation. Do you get what I mean?
What it's saying,
Instead
it's
of
not correct because of what science says, type thing, right?
yeah, it's
Okay.
just because as a Christian you wouldn't force it, but as
But
someone who's
here's the
trying to
thing.
disprove.
Here's the thing. This is a fact, and it's kind of hypocritical to use science against Christianity because, like I said in my excerpt, modern science wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for Christianity. It was based and foundationed off of Christianity. The only reason they separated because Christianity itself in the Bible was a faith-focused system, while science wanted to be a evidence and proof-focused system. So it already having different interests was going to be the reason they separated. But that doesn't mean they're working against each other in any way, shape, or form. They're just seeking their truth in their own way.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Another thing I wanted to, do you have any opinions on evolution and that it could actually be true?
Um, it makes the most sense, especially the little experience like Darwin's finches. They're pretty good examples. Um, now, what kind of confuses me whenever people say they don't believe in evolution is like how they want an instantaneous proof of it. Um, it's kind of hard because it takes time.
Yeah, yeah, because millions of
Of
years. Do
course,
you personally believe in it though?
I I do. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have much of a culture shift to begin with. We wouldn't really be
Mm-hmm.
changing. Evolving really is changing, adapting to our environment.
Yes, 100%. That's even like, yeah, even in physical things, adapting, like school adapts. That's like we adapt to weather, we adapt to climates, all
One
that
sec, one sec.
stuff.
Come in.
Hmm.
Uh-uh. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm on Discord call. I'm on call. Don't make that face. Don't make that face. That's my. I think you'll steal my face from me. How dare you? That's my face. I use that face. Okay, get out. The sooner I get done with this conversation, so you can come in here.
Shoo, shoo, shoo.
No,
Shoo.
no.
I'm not saying shoo. I'm saying shoo.
I get it. I know. I understand. I apologize. Okay, continue.
Nah, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. Um, so other than trauma, obviously, what other reasons do you have for not like what pushes you away from Christianity?
I think if this makes sense to you, the bad outweighs the good in the Bible. Like as good as good as some things are, especially like Ten Commandments, definitely the foundation of laws. Probably laws wouldn't even be a
Yeah,
thing if it
I know
wasn't for
exact.
commandments.
Yeah, yeah.
There's also like, although he doesn't like, he regulates it. He doesn't neither condone or condemn it. Only the people that misuse it. But slavery, right, is one of the examples. Then there's the infanticide in the Old Testament, right? And then certain moments like Jesus braiding a whip to wreak havoc in the temple. Out of context, that does sound crazy, but he had a pretty solid reasoning behind it. It's just like
Yeah,
such
yeah.
aggression to kind of get your point across, type thing, right? And those events and those moments didn't sit right with me. And since I have my own type of like, not interpretation, but I'm only reading the Bible as is, of course, being the guy that I am. But just
Uh-huh.
the fact that we don't really like have these systems or whatnot, and we kind of progress from it, like abolishing slavery. But technically, we didn't completely 100% abolish it. Prisons, everything. You give up your rights whenever you become a prisoner. Fun fact. Yeah, and it's those type of things. Like obviously, like executing non-believers, right, for blasphemy. The right to religious freedom, or not even practicing a religion. We're not executing because of that. That's progress type thing. And yeah, we should. Although we should definitely respect it. It's just like all the bad that has been done in the Bible, probably just because of God. People make that argument often, but it just doesn't sit right with me since I can't personally relate. I never had no personal connection with him, so I really wouldn't know. I really wouldn't know. And people might call me irrational for that, but I'm just too much of a critical thinker to kind of have that mindset.
Oh, no, 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 100. I'm the most like, I think logically and efficiently. I think like straightforward. I never beat around the bush with my thoughts. The thing is, I've never had a personal connection with God. I've just seen in the world and in, not in actions, but in things that I do that I can't explain as logically as I think. And as I've researched, I've only found reasoning for, I can't really pick up a specific on the spot right now, but I can't find any reasoning in the science or in other religions even to go with on why it does or why it has. But
Right.
a challenge I have for you is to look at the perspective of the world and the Bible and Christianity from the New Testament onwards, from Matthew onwards. I know that's unfair because the Old Testament does exist and it is still a strong part of the Bible and it does provide context. But to look from the New Testament onwards, which is a much more Christian encouraged Bible pretty much, is what I would ask you to do from a perspective of trying to follow Christianity.
Okay. I'll say one thing about that. One thing.
Mhm.
I'm an intellectually transparent guy, like intellectually honest, dishonest. I use those words a lot. It would be
Yeah.
intellectually dishonest for me to just read the New Testament since there's context around it. Not mentioning the Old Testament or whatever. Like drop that for a second, right? But the New Testament consists of requotes from the Old Testament, a few, right? And not only that, I really wouldn't have much context around it if I didn't read the Apocrypha. And since I've never read the Apocrypha, I feel like I really wouldn't have much of a better understanding of the New Testament if I just were to read it out of, not out of context, but like just as is, since there's context around it. Like Bible wouldn't really be a thing if it wasn't for the Torah, for instance. Like the Bible was a
100%.
result of the Torah.
Uh-huh.
That type thing.
The thing is, I'm not saying don't read the Old Testament. You can study the whole Bible as it is. Live the New Testament. That's the difference. Understand the old and new, live the new. Because Christ, being alive in the New Testament, obviously not in the Old, Christ is the bridge built between us and God. Christ overcame death when we couldn't, sorry. So live the New Testament, know the old and new. That's how I see it. If you get me.
Yeah. Okay, I'll definitely look into it. Whenever I say I read the Bible a good amount of times, I did mean old and new, but I will just focus on the new Matthew onward. I'll take your advice on that.
I'm thinking you can definitely, if you need to cross-reference, definitely use the Old Testament. I'm not saying throw it in the bin. It's definitely not rubbish. It's still got, like you said, the cross-references or the referred references or whatever you said. But live the new. The new is the part you choose to do in your everyday life. The Old Testament is the support, is the foundation. The New Testament's the rest of the house. The New Testament's the walls, the windows, the roof, the supports of the roof. The Old Testament's just the foundation of the house, what supports all that weight, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, and I had a question on that too.
Mhm.
Would it be irrational for me to not find it surprising, right, that after I read the New Testament and the new rulings around living the lifestyle of it, the conclusion is just like the same lifestyle that I'm living, just being as genuine of a person as I can without causing harm?
Yes.
Would it?
Yes, but
You know.
the one issue you live, I'll say like not a perfect life, but you live an amazing life. In the image of God, you live an amazing life. But when you sin or when you do something wrong, what do you do to correct it? Just if I were to ask you, like, if
Good
you were to
question, yeah.
accidentally hit someone, what do you do to make yourself feel right?
I'll apologize profusely, and this is when repentance comes into play, right? Because repentance,
See,
and
yeah,
but people
yeah.
don't mention what it means to repent, right? Not a lot, at least. And repent is just not only the regret or remorse of the action, but it's the regret and the remorse of the action, and then not wanting to do it again.
That's the thing. Yes. Oh my gosh, you're freaking getting it.
But I mean, I do.
I actually love you,
But I
bro.
do.
Like, I've never had someone talk like this before.
That's
Oh
how you,
my
that's how you know
gosh.
I'm not. That's how you know I'm not BSing about the whole like I
I'm
did
actually
research,
so
study.
you know how much the joy that's on my face right now is actually absurd.
Goodness, well, I'm surprised I made your day. I'm glad I made your day.
You made my morning actually.
I'm happy for that.
So do you see what I mean? Like, if you do wrong in someone's eyes, and even if you profusely say sorry, there's a chance they just don't forgive you and say like, "Piss off, go back to your car, man. Get out of here.
But
Get out of my
there's a
face."
quote that I also follow because that can't happen. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. There's a quote that I follow too. Sometimes the best way to help is to not help. You're
Oh yeah.
there's times where like you make a person so mad that you know for a fact just looking at them and listening to their responses and just watching their body language. The moment you say something to try to fix it, it's only going to get worse. Like you just know. So what you do,
it'll escalate. That's like
you give them you give them the space they want or they need, and then whenever they cool off, you get back at the situation again at a more civil manner. That type of thing.
the thing is, oh no, I had so you see when someone's bullying you and they say ignore,
That's not a good way to attack.
and
them.
like, yeah, I know. I'm just
no,
saying,
yeah,
like,
I do know. Yeah.
in simple instances, like someone's just trying to like do something small, you just ignore them and they get bored, right?
Right.
That's what I'd say is that it can work in most instances, but if the person like I've had someone hate me for years on something I did, like there's not really, I wouldn't say it's not an efficient quote, but it's a really good quote. It's not the best, if you get what I mean. It's not
The
100%.
bullying thing.
The quote you use, the
What?
sometimes the best help is not to help at all.
Oh no, not in like context of like ignoring the bully or whatever. Like although that does work.
Oh no,
I
I
agree with
mean,
that.
I know in general,
I agree.
in general, it's that
But it is a fact.
when you do something wrong,
I was gonna interject. It is extremely helpful though. Like for you can make it you can
100%.
water it down to something as simple as like a math problem. If a math problem is just simply just frustrating you to no end, leaving the situation or whatnot, taking a break, taking a breather, right?
like in an exam,
right.
coming back to the
Right, and
question.
then coming back to the question, and then realizing, oh man, this shit was easier than as fuck. Why was I overthinking this type thing? It was in the context.
Yeah,
of
but
that type of thing.
it also could be like, well, how did it get harder?
It's because of the mind state, like right. Because if you're too pissed to listen to someone's like reasonable advice, you're too pissed to listen to anything. There's a certain type of like anger where like you don't want to hear nothing, and that, in that context,
yeah.
and then under that context, leaving them alone, letting them cool off and get their time of breathing, right, and then coming back at the situation to sort it out properly is the way to go. I was saying like under certain circumstances, I ain't saying this is the one size fits all type,
100%. In certain circumstances, 100%. But if I were to put it to you like this, if I were to feed it to you like this, right? So the person, not that person, the thing that created everything, right? You might be trying to get to someone. You want to obviously find if they need space, or maybe they want to talk about it straight away, and if you give them space, they hate you even more. You obviously don't know. You take a risk. You don't have that 100%.
Of course.
The way voice crack.
It's okay.
The way I see it is if the person, I keep saying, I'm just gonna say person,
Yeah.
the person who created them knows them more than you will ever know them. They know how. God knows you so well to the point He knows how many hairs are on your head. Think of that.
But why?
That's how well He knows you. I think that's pretty sure it's written in the Bible as well.
For sure.
He knows the number of hairs on your head. Do you know no one knows anyone that much? No one even knows how much hairs they have on their dogs. No one knows that. No one knows how many hairs are in their nose. No one knows how many hairs are on their hands.
Why?
Yeah, he planted each and every hair, man. He stole the Rock's hairline and probably gave it to someone else that needed it more than him, to be honest. But you never know. God works in mysterious ways, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, it's just he knows her. He knows. Let's just say it's a girlfriend. Just put this in perspective. He knows her to the point where he knows how many hairs are on her head. He would definitely know how to cool her down in a situation by the snap of his fingers, or by the blow of his nose, or by the tickle of his nose hair. Like, he'd know exactly what to do. And if you ask and genuinely want to live with this woman, maybe even build a family with this woman in the name of Jesus, he will help because he knows your intention, as I've said,
Mhm.
and he would love to have more Christian babies running around his world
Oh, I bet, man.
that he's created. Any questions on that? Any?
Um, I guess just the type of nuances onto it, man. I guess another reason why I couldn't really stick with it was because of the whole same sex issue that they have with it, right? And it ties
Yeah,
mostly
yeah.
into it ties mostly into purity and preventing of spreading disease.
So, uh, are we talking about like it being a sin or why it happens?
But I mean, I could cover both if you like. Yeah, we could cover both.
I could also cover
Yeah,
both,
yeah.
but do you want to know or do you already know?
Well, I'll get your reasoning behind it. I'll listen.
So the reason I believe, or I'm mostly sure it happens, is because of obviously Satan. It is clearly a sin for same-sex marriage, and well, intercourse obviously feels good. It gives you that feel good, almost enjoyment, and doing it to the other sex. I don't know how it gives like a specific enjoyment or like how it attracts two people attract, but in God's eyes, that is not love. That is lust. So you're just there to sex before marriage, pretty much.
I guess it's like I guess my only issue is that it implies that people can't form just as much of a meaning companionship as a heterosexual relationship. But that's what kind of makes me want to tie down the why behind it. You know,
All right, I see what you mean. All right, so
because yeah, I could
I'm
easily
not
because I
sure.
could easily say the same thing about heterosexual relationships, which is why some of them don't work now. This day and age, because some people do it out of lust. Because the
Oh no,
first
no,
thing, right,
some
because how some people, the first thing
yeah.
they bring up whenever they talk about a woman is their figure. They objectify them. So not all of them, but
hmm
it's a concerning amount. Yeah,
Most,
right, right.
a lot, yeah, a lot, yeah. So it's not that they can't have the same like love in a relationship. It's that the way love was created and gifted to us wasn't for man and man and woman. It was meant. That's why Adam and Eve.
Yeah, my dad said the same thing.
You see what I mean? It wasn't meant to. Not saying it wasn't supposed to or it wasn't going to. You see, this all ties back to
Yeah,
free will.
yeah.
Because they're able to. You can put it in any hole you want to,
Oh
mate. You can put
no,
it
we
in a
getting
doorknob if
graphic.
you really wanted to.
No.
Sorry, but it's true. It's just free will. Whatever you think feels good, you can do. No one's really stopping you.
Uh-huh.
Unless it's in front of someone and you get
Of
embarrassed.
course, yeah,
So
yeah.
realistic, realistically, that's not reasonable.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you see where I'm
yeah.
going? It's just free will.
But
Like you can realistically do whatever you want.
I thought personally, because whenever I looked into it, I
hmm
was I was genuinely confused about the why. And when I brought it up to people, especially my cousin, not the same cousin, I do have a lot of cousins, but not the same one, but another one that
hmm
also follows the
Same, I have
faith,
a
right?
big family.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
He said, well, does the Bible need to explain why stealing is wrong? Because obviously we know it's wrong or whatnot. But I was like, I mean, it's a fair analogy, but it's like
It's
there's
not
two
nice to
different.
do.
I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
it's two different contexts though. Like stealing causes potential
hmm
harm to the people's belongings, but what does same-sex marriage do? But here's the conclusion though. I was to say I think the biggest reason why that was prohibited, right? Not only because of the preventing of to keep things pure, right? And yeah,
Disease. Yeah,
disease was
yeah,
a big
yeah,
concern
yeah,
around that
yeah,
time
yeah.
because there weren't a lot of cures and there weren't a lot of
The
medicinal practices and
technology was still
yeah, right,
sticks
right.
and stones.
And
Yeah, yeah.
it was one of the main ways to prevent that. Same way about the sheet, the virgin sheet, there being blood on the sheet or whatnot, right? That being a way to prove that
hmm
the woman's promiscuous or whatnot. It was just like methods around that time period to prevent it. Considering the things that they had in that time period. I'm thinking
Uh-huh.
since marriage was a pretty huge thing. And it still is a pretty huge thing. It's just I think it's the meaning got
Yeah.
watered down because how many people get in divorces? How many? It's a lot. Yeah.
100%. It's become so much more
But
common.
it makes under that context it makes sense. But what concerns me is that people don't that isn't the first reason. The first reason is you can't reproduce. But what if that wasn't the goal? What if the goal was to have some sort of companion? Because what if you couldn't find a woman? And I ain't saying get desperate, obviously, but it's like if you don't really have a preference or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, especially if you're like asexual, you don't have an interest in sex or wanting to have that reproductive drive or whatnot, then there goes the nuance and how do you tackle that type thing? Like, what do they
See,
say about
that's.
that? And
Hmm.
you know how they say
See,
things
the
about the
goal. Sorry.
one last thing. You know how the Bible also
Yeah,
mentions
yeah,
how a man can't sleep with another man as they would a woman, but they never talk about the women only either. Like the whole other aspect of it. It's just the man, and I wonder why there's that type of like favoritism. I probably can't say that.
that make yeah, I know. That makes me feel like the Quran. Have you ever studied that
The
slightly?
Quran a little.
I've Yeah, I have a little. The only one woman's name is mentioned in the entirety of the Quran, which is where I see your favoritism. But the thing is, God says it's not favoritism in the Bible. It's just I don't want to say it like
I'll
this. It's just that he doesn't need to say the rest. It's almost obvious.
I was going to say there's a
It's like
hierarchy a little
just
bit. Like there's a type of. I was going to say the only reason I say favoritism is because have you noticed whenever we read the Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21, that the man if
Mhm.
he was accusing the woman and it turned out to be false, he just pays a fine. But if it turned out to be true, the woman dies. Like those two punishments are drastically
uh
different.
yeah. Do you want me to tell you
Yeah,
why they would have
sure.
believed that? You know how the woman was made, right?
Off of Adam, the rib was pulled. I remember that. It was in Genesis. I know it's in Genesis.
You see how they used a piece of the man to create a woman? It's that not that they think that they're less superior, it's just that they aren't as that of a man, but they are still. I'm trying to make it. It's not meant to be like men, like women washing machine, man work. You
Of
know what I
course not.
mean?
No, I think gender roles was developed
I don't
culturally.
want it to sound like that. It's just the way they were made is that they were made differently.
Oh, of
No
course, yeah.
one's, they're not superior, because what a man can do, can a man give birth by himself with just straight men?
Well, I was
No.
gonna say,
Can a woman
I
give
was gonna
birth?
answer that too. Well, of course not, but it's a bit
Mhm.
ironic on how Eve was made, and it's ironic that the woman can have the ability to reproduce, but the production of woman came from the man. That's what I found ironic. But yeah, no, continue.
Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. But it is God
Right,
obviously
right,
that
right, right.
made
He made
them.
it happen,
So
so he's God.
it just yeah, he can pretty much do he can do anything. But it's just the way he wanted it,
Right,
I
yeah.
guess. I mean, I'm not really in his mind. I can't really tell. Um, like what I was just saying is, yeah, it's just the way they were made is that man not is dominion, not has dominion, but not is better. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it. It's just that they gave for the woman to be created,
Hmm.
and for that the woman not only is slightly not less. I really don't know how to put this. I don't want to put it in a less mean term,
No, take your
but
time,
it
man. Take
is
your time.
that their muscles. Let's just go biologically since you like science. Aren't their muscles less? Not less.
Oh
Their bones
no,
are less dense than males, aren't they?
I have a
And their
feeling this is gonna lead to
muscles.
the trans community thing. But no, continue.
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no, no,
okay.
no, no. The UFC trans thing. No, no. That's political,
Oh,
man.
okay,
I'm not
okay.
a
I
political
respect that. I
person
respect
either.
that.
No, I'm just talking about general
Okay,
stats.
okay.
You being a scientific person, you know that a man's bones are more dense than a woman's,
Oh
correct?
yeah, of course.
So do you think a woman, I feel so, alright, this is going to sound really stereotypical, but let's just
Yeah.
say a man and a woman, same height, same weight, doing the same thing, let's say lifting a specific amount of timbers for a specific amount of weight, I mean time at a specific amount of weight, who do you think will fatigue first, the man or the woman?
The woman, and I think this lies down to a genetic side.
100%,
Oh yeah.
100%. Genetics are 90% of your strength. I'll genuinely put that out there. But in general terms, in like straightforward terms, I know there's so many like hindrances. Like you could wake up and have a bad day and lift less,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, yeah,
But in straightforward terms, talking about how God made them, who do you think will get? Obviously, the woman. That's it's night and
yeah.
day.
Of course.
But it doesn't make a woman less. Doesn't make a woman
No, are you
less.
implying that like
On
although
average,
they're not equal to men, they have just as of a much of an importance?
100%. Because a man can't live without a woman, regardless if if every man on the world becomes gay, you still won't have that 100% satisfaction. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Do you get what I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, but
It's just that
I
a
would
woman
say
is
yeah.
required.
No, 'cause- yeah, finish.
No, that's it. A woman is required,
Oh,
and
okay.
so is a man.
I was gonna say yeah, right? Because I see what you're getting at, and what was it? I'm trying to think. Okay, I see. Yeah, no,
No.
most definitely.
Oh, you got it.
I see what you're getting at, right? And that's when like the whole companion thing. Whenever we talked about love being like, well, me talking about love being just a companionship, comes into play because it's like yeah, because around that time, reproducing was huge. Marriage was huge, you know, and that was one of the things
Uh-huh.
that because it was important to marriage, not out of lust, not out of just desire, but just pure pure you know bonding, pure bond,
And yeah.
in
Hmm.
Christ's name, of course. And I think some people just don't have an interest in it. Like me, for instance, I've seen a lot of even my mom and my dad got divorced or whatnot, and it it seemed to do more good than harm. I'm not saying that marriage is a bad thing in
Hun-
general, but it's like sometimes it's
Uh-huh.
needed to better have a better quality of life. And that's just like the nuance. I'm not
100%.
saying that's every single marriage under the sun, but it's one of those nuances where it's like the Bible does cover generalities, right? And it expresses how important marriage is and how companionship is in general for the man and woman. It's just like what if people just aren't interested? Can they still suffice in the world or whatnot? That type of thing.
Alright. Yeah, do you know what? I have a perfect
Yeah,
answer
of
to
course.
this, and guess what? I hate repeating myself, but guess
Mm-hmm.
what? It might be a sin, right?
I, yeah,
And even if you don't intend for it to be a sin, it's always intention. God is just. God will. Oh my gosh, I didn't want to say it. No. Like, all marriages are obviously different. Some woman can leave a man just because he's broke as shit. Like,
right.
oh,
It
I
could be
don't want to
petty
marry
reasons, but
anymore.
I'm thinking like the genuine, actual like well being
Oh,
reasons.
like abusive,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
and
do
that's
things
what,
like you
and of
force
course you
kids.
repeated yourself, but I was saying this
Oh,
bouncing off the ties of like there's
100.
nuances of like to where like you there are no although it's wrong for you to just leave, right? It shouldn't be wrong for you to leave with the right context. Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it's not only that. It's like it's also a mutual thing. You both don't you both have to sign the papers?
Yeah, I forgot what it's called though. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you do,
Yeah,
you do.
yeah. It's like the papers. You both have to decide. So it has to be a mutual decision. Even though one person might not like it, like maybe you don't want their kids to be separated from their parents. You might not like it, but overall, if it's a better decision, it's a better decision. In the end of the day, good is good. If you get what I mean,
Yeah.
good is good.
Yeah.
We're born in sin. We're bound to do it. If it's sin for good, God can forgive and God will forgive. He is
Hmm.
just.
But I won't take too much of your time. That was your. Did you already ask your question for me? Is it my turn now?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
go. I don't mind. You can
Let me
ask
think. I
her.
gotta think of a good one.
Yeah, go for it.
I
Bro,
got.
it is 3:49 in the morning
I know.
right now,
I wanna sign off pretty
and
quick
and
so you can get your beauty
I'm
sleep.
so nah. There's no way. I have school in like 2 days,
Oh, okay,
so
okay. Um,
it's gonna be nice to try to get my sleep schedule back up. Anyway,
let me see. Okay, I gotta hit you with a good one. I have to. So the real
go.
reason that I was driven to kind of be this religious observer, which like I said, it means that I love having deep discussions about religion and people's backgrounds and having interest in it,
Mhm.
without me being associated with religion. But
Mhm.
um, there was a statistic in 2020 that really drove me to kind of ask the question to them, and I guess I'll actually I call it the big Christian question now. I guess I'll give it a placeholder name. But a study from 2020 showed that 50 years ago from 2020, 90% of people in the U.S. claimed to be Christian, right? But flash forward to 2020, or fast forward, not flash, fast forward to 2020, the percent went from 90% down to 64. And since you're associated with it, since you're associated with Christianity, of course, what do you think the
Yes.
main causes are, and how would you combat that as a Christian?
Alright. So there's There's one. Alright, so I'm just gonna throw one thing at you, and you can obviously debate this and take this how you want.
Okay.
I think there's more than one. So number one can be the lack of teaching, like the oral traditions start to water down. There's also one of, I think, a big one. I personally believe this is that Satan is really good at his job. Like he has one job, and he's had thousands of years to do it. And to get to that stage and that good at it makes sense to me,
Okay.
if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I'll say something about
You
that.
see what I'm saying? Like, he probably knows a few of us by the hairs on our heads by now, because he's been here for a while. So, oh no.
Get it back.
Him being really good at his job. You know how sinful behavior is just so, like, the stuff you watch of two people getting really happy, and it's just all over on. You know what I mean? I don't want to say the. It's like you can watch them wrestling in a bedroom.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Corn on the cob.
Corn,
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
corn on the corn. If you watch, like, Corn on the Cob is available everywhere, and that's one of the. You know what the 7 deadly sins are, right?
Lust, I think one of them.
Lust, gluttony,
Okay, these.
wrath.
Yeah.
You know those
Yeah.
ones? Yeah. So lust is one of the deadliest sins. It's seven deadly sins. One of the strongest men in the Bible died to lust. Is just how strong that sin is, and for it to be available from, you could be on a remote island in the middle of absolutely nowhere and just do whatever you want, if you know what I
I got
mean.
one clarifying question, and I'll let you continue, man. Just hold that in mind.
So sin being that available, makes it easier, and for it to be easier, makes your soul easier, which is how it actually works. So it's almost like a rabbit hole. You keep going and going and going. And it's also that the growth of other religions, like, I don't like saying this, but the false religion of Islam and just other false religions obviously waters it down. And you can ask your question.
Okay. So you mentioned how Satan's the true mastermind behind the reason that the decline is happening, right? But there's one book that doesn't sit right with me in that thinking. Personally, this is me.
Yeah,
The
go for
biggest
it.
example is the Book of Job, and I mentioned the Book of Job to people a lot of times when it comes to discussions.
I love the Book of
And
Job.
what didn't sit right with me was how Job did everything right? And Satan was like, yeah, or I think it was Lucifer around that time, but yeah, Lucifer was saying, God, Job would not have the things and he wouldn't be praising you the way he is for all the things that you've given him. And
Take
God, yeah, right.
everything.
And God
Yeah.
said, okay, let's make a deal, or let's make a deal with it. And he accepted it.
Familiar with that
Right,
story.
but what
Yeah.
doesn't sit right is just the whole. You use the all-knowing, all-powerful, right, and the all-good aspect, and it kind of doesn't. It kind of throws off the whole story, in my opinion. It kind of throws it off.
Contradiction,
Well,
right? Contradiction, right?
It's more of like, I'm curious because I could easily say that and disrespect it. I don't want to disrespect it, right?
100%,
But it's more
100%.
of like, what was the thought process behind it? If I have the power and the ability to have the all knowing ability, wouldn't I have a different, less extreme way to go about proving to Satan that Job is a faithful guy? I could just pull up a future portal, right? Show Satan, hey, look, this is Job, and this is the result, and he's still faithful. Hopefully, this proves your point, and hopefully, you stop asking me about it or whatever, right? Like that, like that type of thing. The fact that he let him do all the things that he did, right? But I'm guessing he did to prove his point. But the another thing that concerns me, right? Because given that, granted, the one thing that concerns me is how he quote unquote gave everything back. Now, the one thing you can't take away is trauma. It doesn't even mention in the Bible that trauma was taken away from him, because obviously you're gonna feel some type of way whenever your family and whatnot, or your wife is dead. Right, it's like me killing your pet and then just giving you another pet of the same breed as a result of you proving your faith. It's crazy. I don't know. It was a crazy concept to me.
I got
you know?
yeah. I know I know exactly what you mean. But guess what? All right. So for example, let's just throw some random celebrity on the
Sure.
bus. Let's say The Rock. Bloke's loaded, is he not?
Yeah.
So much money. He has kids. All right. You know what? Let's use Kobe. God rest his soul.
But yeah, rest in peace.
But it's raining right now. So he had all this money. He was just retiring, perfect family, rings, this, that, amazing stats. But he had died in a helicopter crash.
No, man, rest his soul.
What part of what he did on Earth did he take with him after death? What bits of his earthly life did he take?
Oh, nothing, because everything was materialistic. I think that's the point you're trying to make.
Pretty much. So Job, although I know exactly when the trauma wouldn't have left, his family, them being not used but shown as a testament, and they would all have eternity in heaven, which is what I'm obviously trying to achieve, or Christians try to achieve, is eternity in heaven, life with God. Job, obviously, and Kobe, obviously dying. Let's just say he went to heaven, right? But the only thing he takes with him is his soul, and his soul contains the sins, the good deeds, the thoughts, the actions, everything he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Job being so faithful after all that, you really think, I can't say where he's going, but
Right.
do you really think he would go to hell? That man would go to hell.
Oh no, of course not. And I could say on the opposite aspect of it, like I can just be as good of a person as I can be, but if the only reason I go to hell is because I didn't accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, it's a pretty irrational thing for me. You know, that's just me though.
Yeah, but you know how people are born in countries where they never hear of Jesus
I
Christ,
know that's
correct?
that's a sad reality.
But the thing is, I keep repeating myself, but it's the best thing. God's just. If you live, if you live well, like you, for example, like your life, if you live well, like don't kill, don't steal, you just live, right? Not following Jesus Christ, not knowing about Jesus Christ, not even his existence, right? Even though it's pretty hard with all this internet and everything, but
Yeah,
still,
fair.
there is. But God will judge you, saying you did this in my will. You might have not known about me, but you lived well. You knew right from wrong. You are welcomed into my paradise.
Oh man.
God's
Oh,
just.
geez.
God
Jeremy didn't
sees.
even know he knew it
You
was.
see what I
Jeremy didn't
mean?
even know he knew it was gonna happen. Yikes. Oh man.
You have free will. That man
Yeah,
could have
no,
went
you're
out
right,
with a
you're right,
minigun and
you're
just
right.
sprayed a village down, but
Yeah,
he
good point, good point.
chose
You're right.
to live well, to live peacefully. Any other questions you got?
No, that's it for me, man.
Man,
That's it for me.
almost 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 minutes. Have you ever had any chats like this, or is this
A few.
just a regular
I had a good
occurrence?
few. Not like back to back, but it's like every now and again I get that the hidden diamond in the rough, and these are the ones that I'm gonna start recording. Because I like I said, I used to do all the audio only live app called LMK,
Podcast.
right?
Yeah.
And I named it "An Atheist Walks into a Bar," and then I would have interesting discussions there. And one clip that sticks out to me was how his name was KG Faithful, and he would mention how yeah, God will give explicit rulings or whatnot, right? And people would still disobey Him. Therefore, God is just. He would do the consequences necessary for Him to get his points across and whatnot. And especially prophets alike too. And I said, well, it just sounds to me that correct me if I'm wrong. Tower of Babel, Adam and Eve. God gives explicit instructions, and at least He's either if He's not there, the presence of Him is there to explicitly tell these guys not to do the things they do, right? But then they still disobey. So and it just seems to me that around the time period they just didn't take God serious. So it makes me wonder, how big of a threat was God, and how what made these people react the way they do.
If you want to see a threat of God, there was a tower. I think it's the Tower of
Yeah, that's a
Babel.
good
I'm pretty
example.
sure.
Yeah,
They tried.
that's what I bring up.
You see how they tried booting up to God, whatever they're gonna take over his paradise. He just made them start speaking gibberish
Change
to
their
each other. Yeah, you see what I mean? God knows. God could have just erased all of them and just said, "I don't want them there," but he just trolled them almost,
Oh yikes! Oh
forced
no,
them to
that's the
learn
word
new
you want to
language.
use,
You
bro.
see what I
Oh no,
mean?
that's the word you want to use.
No, it is not the word I want to use, but you see what I mean? He could have done
Yeah,
worse.
of course.
Definitely
Yeah,
could have
of
done
course.
worse. Could have caused plague on him, like he did to the Pharaoh with the slaves that he kept.
Oh yeah.
But he just changed their language. Just did a little thing like tapped them on the shoulder and just said, "What are you doing?" Like, are you serious? You really think you're gonna make it up here?
But
There's
one
not
one
enough
last thing, and then
grains
I'll
of
drop
sand
it.
to
One last
stack.
thing, and then I'll drop it. Right, because you have
Uh
examples
huh.
of Tower of Babel, right? You have examples of Adam and
Mhm.
Eve, and then you also have
Mhm.
examples of the people before the flood happened, right? It's all. It almost seems like that the attempt to make people with free will results in these said things, and then the flood was probably like the ultimate choice. But then I still feel like after the flood, I still feel like we're back in the same state we are. I wonder what like I said, I wonder what why do we still have the choice of free will? And I mentioned this in the last conversation with somebody else that if we, and I 1000% mean this, if we didn't have free will, that means I think the world would be in a way better state. And when I say this, I tie
Uh
this
huh.
to religious trauma, right? Because if I lack the free will, and this guy tried to apply only to me, which doesn't make sense. Because why would I be the only one that doesn't have free will, right? Whenever I say remove the action of free will, I mean the whole, as a society, right? And I
Mhm.
think my dad wouldn't be using corporal punishment on me as the way he did if it was a lack of free will, right? And people wouldn't be
Uh
doing all the
huh.
horrible sadistic things they'd be doing because of a lack of free will. Because, like I said, free will is a blessing and a curse, and just removing that blessing and the
Mhm.
curse is just removing the possibility of bad potentially
It's
happening.
more, yeah, that's the thing. It's more of an important blessing because you can't. Alright, so I would probably say the most important reason to free will is love.
Oh yeah, of
I
course.
know you think it's a companionship, but without love or that companionship, there'd be Adam and Eve without free will, without them, like, for example, they didn't love each other, right? Or they were forced to reproduce, and then those generations were forced to reproduce because they were bound to, and then it just kept going. There wouldn't be happiness. Like
But how?
no one would have
But
a
but
choice
genuinely,
almost.
be honest, man. Be honest. How would you know? Since
Hmm.
free will, as a result, we have our own actions and our own choices we can make, but that can also equal to the
You
reactions that
see,
causes it.
100%. I know what you mean. It could just be like, oh, you never knew, so you're happy with it
No, no, no,
regardless,
no, no. I
right?
mean, like hypothetically, right? I was just saying hypothetically, but like
Hmm.
just to
Yeah, yeah,
tie
yeah.
anything such as like emotion. Well, emotion is a result of free will.
But well, since we're talking from the perspective of God creating it,
Okay, of
right?
course, yeah, yeah.
So God being omniscient, knowing all, he obviously knew what he was doing. He knew we were going to be idiots.
True, true.
He just probably didn't think it was going to be this bad. That's probably why he had to flush the world down the toilet and then unflush it
But
and then
didn't he
redo
kind
the
of get the
plumbing.
sample size with the Adam and Eve Tower of Babel before the flood?
Yeah, 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 with the animals and
But
everything, obviously.
I'll
Yeah,
drop
yeah,
it
yeah.
there though. I'll drop it there. I was just genuinely curious on your take on it.
No, no, no. It's not an easy
I
topic,
agree.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I do like your questioning. I have a question for you though. Did I change your perspectives on anything?
You enlightened me, and that challenge you gave me, I'm definitely gonna follow it through and through. And I'll give you, if we're friends or whatnot, I'll give
I
you
want you, yeah, I
the
want you to
result.
give me an
Yeah.
update. I would love for you to give me an update.
Other than that, I'll leave it there. And man, if you hadn't got any sleep, if you stayed up all night, dude, you better get some fucking sleep, dog. Man to man.
It's 4 in the morning, yeah, realistically. Bro, God bless you, man. Wow, you're an insightful
Try
man.
to be,
I honestly hope you well in your life.
Likewise.
Like genuinely, like from my heart, I hope you have that one-on-one, like Christ just flashes in your life. You see the light and love in Christ. I hope to him you see him
Um.
in a dream in your life. I hope you
Oh
meet
yeah.
him.
All I can say, it's
I,
God
I
willing.
just I just want you to say I personally I'm not gonna throw him at you, footy pass him into your
I
window. No,
respect that.
I would love for you to just see him and just if you don't like him, walk away from him. It's very simple. It's very very
I
simple.
agree.
I
Yeah.
just want you to experience his love, experience his feeling. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I would like you to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Using the Bible and the books and the understanding, it's an effort and it's not an easy religion to follow. I will be honest, as I not the 100% most
Hey,
faithful
I
person
don't
and
blame y'all.
obviously not
Y'all
the most
have y'all have
knowledgeable.
y'all's work cut out for y'all. And as easy as some people would like to
Mhm.
describe, man, just have belief and just have faith and just walk the path of the narrow. It,
Mm-mm.
like I said, it's
Mm-mm.
easier said than done thing. Because maybe these people are
100%.
genuinely trying to do this stuff, but since they aren't getting signs, that's when they start to lose the hope. That's when they start to lose the faith. And at that
Yeah,
point,
you
and
always
at
fall
that
short.
point, can you really blame them? Can you?
Because you always fall short of God and to be able to take that in and accept it is one of the hardest
Of
things ever
course,
to
of
do. Is
course.
just knowing I'm not gonna be as good or even remotely as good as him.
But yeah, man, yeah, rest up, man. I ain't gonna
Uh,
hold you too much, man. It was a great discussion.
Anastasia, are you still there
Yeah, yeah.
or
Oh, she's muted.
she's still there? Yeah, I think she might have fallen asleep. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
Oh,
Wait, why did it?
what time is it for you?
I live in the US, so
Oh,
it's 2 p.m.
That
oh
fast?
damn, you guys are
Oh, you're
like
an hour ahead of me. It's 1:06.
11. Damn, you guys on the other side of the
We are.
world.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
That's crazy.
what day is it for you? Like,
It
what's the
is
day?
current. It is currently Saturday. I'm pretty Sunday actually. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's
Whoa.
Saturday. So,
That's
You're in the
so weird.
future.
Yo, I'm living in the future. Yeah, so guys, watch out. There's gonna be a
I'm
9:12
cooked,
tomorrow. I
bro.
mean
I'm
today. Sorry.
cooked.
Honest, my fault. Hey, that was my bad.
But no, you're chill,
uh,
dude, bro. I love if you want to have these discussions
you,
more. Just hit me
you
up, man.
too, bro. Bro, tonight I don't know how you got my brain running like that. I don't know what you done. Yeah, I need to get some rest.
I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Interesting guy. I love him. I might post this, but I'm gonna let him know and get permission off of it firsthand. But yeah.